I now pronounce you king! Woo!
Congratulations, Your Majesty. Finally a king. But wait, let's go back and start this from the beginning. Hello, I'm King Edward III. I was King of England from January 1327 until my death in June 1377. Yes, you heard me right, I'm dead. Hence the ghost costume. Anyway, I have 5 sons. 2 of them are the reason why I came back from the dead to talk to you today.
I am John, the head of the Lancaster House, which is represented by the Red Rose. For over 30 years, my house, my descendants, will be fighting against the descendant of my jerky brother, Edmund. Here he is.
Hello, I'm Edmund, the amazing head of the York House, which is much better than the Lancaster House, and my brother John. Now that we have covered the houses, let's get into the story of the Wars of the Roses, also known as the Cousins' War. This war was a series of wars that took over 30 years to resolve. It took place in medieval Europe from 1455 to 1485. I'm dead, so there must be a new king to rule the land. And now my children of my 2 sons that I mentioned earlier are fighting over to who shall take my place as the role of the king. Real quick, let me tell you about who was in power before the Wars of the Roses. So after I died, my first grandson, Richard II, took over. He wasn't very nice and was overtaken by another of my grandsons, Henry IV, from the Lancaster House. After he died, his son Henry V took over power, and even though there was a lot of battles with France, his house kept the crown of England. The Lancaster House was running strong for many decades. After Henry V died, Henry VI was in power in 1422. But now France is becoming more powerful than England, and this led to many problems. Some groups in England, like Henry VI group, wanted to be peaceful with France. Others, like Richard of the York's house, wanted to be aggressive and fight. So that brings us up to present time. King Henry VI was in power and had married Margaret from Anjou. Now pay attention to that. Queen Margaret was really the force behind the Lancaster House.
Off with their heads!
Sadly, King Henry VI of the Lancaster House had a mental breakdown. Because of that, Richard the Duke of York from the York House filled in for him. Queen Margaret was very, very worried that the York House would take over as rulers. There were many years of conflict and battles between the cousins, the Lancasters and the Yorks. All of these battles were called the Wars of the Roses. Margaret was key in all of the decisions of who to battle.
Off with their heads!
In the 1460s, York claimed the crown of England. Queen Margaret was able to build an army and have Richard the Duke of York killed. Queen Margaret did not show any mercy to the people she thought were traitors. During the Wars of the Roses, the Lancaster House and the York House bounced around their power. As soon as one house would take over, the other house would quickly defeat it and take the power away. Once Richard, Duke of York, was killed, his son Edward IV stepped into his place. He was able to beat the Lancaster House and take over the throne until his death. He ruled for many years in peace.
Long live the Yorks!
Before Richard's death, he went up against Queen Margaret in one of the bloodiest fights. The fight went on for almost 10 hours during a huge snowstorm. There was so much blood. About 80,000 men fought in this battle, and almost 40,000 men died. Richard won the battle despite Margaret being so tough. The York House still remained in power.
Yorks win!
Switching sides and double-crossing one another was very common. How else do you think they'd get ahead? The Lancaster House really wanted to take back the crown and being sent away. Margaret teamed up with Earl Warwick. People also called him the Kingmaker. He had previously helped King Edward IV claim the crown. One day he got mad at King Edward.
I can't stand King Edward IV. I must come up with a way to stop him. I will go to Margaret for help.
I said, off with their heads!
Kingmaker and Queen Margaret were not successful in their battle, to bring down the Edward IV. Queen Margaret was captured and both her husband and son were killed. The Lancaster house was left with nobody and nothing to fight.
I have defeated you!
Once King Edward IV died, his crown was passed down to his son Edward V.
I'm only 12. What do I choose?
Since Edward V was so young, he was sent away, and his uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, filled in for the young king.
I'm in charge now. You will never see Edward V again. I will be king.
Edward V was held prisoner and was never seen again. Some say he may have been killed. Richard, Duke of Gloucester, quickly became King Richard III. Many people of York House was not happy with Richard III. Some decided they would go against him and join the Lancaster House to help get back the throne.
How dare you steal the crown and the seat at the throne? Lancasters, here we
Richard
come.
was a very distant relative to Lancaster House.
I will fight for the Lancaster. I will take back the throne and become king.
In 1485, Henry Tudor came to England. He built his army to help him take back the throne. On August 22nd, he took his army to confront Richard III. This was the Battle of Bosworth Field.
I am here to take back the throne and give it back to the Lancaster house where it belongs.
You will never take the throne from me. The Yorks will remain in power!
Henry Tudor won the Battle of Bosworth Fields. Richard III was killed. Henry Tudor was crowned king right away and became King Henry VII.
Defeated the Yorks, and it is my job now to bring the two houses together. The Yorks and the Lancasters will become
King
one.
Henry VII wanted two houses to unite. He married Elizabeth of York. She was Edward IV's daughter.
We shall become one.
King Henry VII wanted to show that the Wars of the Roses had ended. There was no longer a red rose and a white rose for two houses. There was one rose that was both red and white to symbolize the two houses as one.
The end!